Hey everyone, this is your favorite radio host, your favorite girl, Corinne Lafont, on Between the Lines, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago. You know, I always start my show the same way, being thankful, being grateful, showing appreciation for everything. I mean, I'm alive. That means to say that my purpose is not yet over. And each day as I go on my journey, I'm realizing more and more what my purpose is. If I remain still, and listen to the voice. Yeah. If I remain still. So I'm practicing to remain still, to do more meditation, which I encourage a lot of people to do. Do more meditation and just be still. Kind of get rid of the noise in all different forms, whether it's radio, TV, phone, people. I mean, some things you can't control, but for those that you can, you just get rid of it. Dedicate a certain time in the day, especially when you wake in the morning and before you go to bed at night. It's always great to do your meditation because you're in your best state, as they said, is a theta state at that point. So, and if you need to be still throughout the entire day, what the hell? Just be still throughout the entire day. I have with me Dala De Moro. She's looking so beautiful today. She actually matches, yes, she actually matches her painting in the back, or the frame in the back. The colors just coincide nicely. And I'm going to tell you a bit about her. So Dala De Moro is a certified professional organizer. Her company, Heartwork Organizing, helps people find peace through organizing and design. Isn't that amazing? Finding peace through organizing and design. Her latest book, Organizing Your Home with Sort and Succeed, and we'll find out a bit more about that later, quickly became a bestseller. It's a 5-step system. Only 5 people, only 5. It's a 5-step system to stop clutter before it starts, which is what our topic is about today. Stop clutter before it starts. Save money and simplify your life. Sorry, something else stuck in my throat. This pro organizer wants people to stop decluttering. Now she wants it, but do you want it? That's another story. Life moves too fast to get stuck in stuff. That is so true. Use the power of your brain to help you get unstuck. Use Sort and Succeed to stop decluttering, stay organized, and stop feeling overwhelmed. Welcome, Dala De Moro, to Between the Lines.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, you must know as a professional organizer, there's a show on TV that speaks to people who just surrounded in a hot mess, if you want to call it that. And there are people like yourself who come in. I can't remember the name of the lady who used to do the show, a black woman. I can't remember the name, but you would know who I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah, Niecy Nash.
Oh, Niecy.
What you're thinking of?
Yes, Niecy Nash. I just love her. She'll be like, what? Yeah. Let it go.
Got enough personality for everybody on that show. Yes.
Yeah. She just made that show so. Oh my God. And I said to myself, my God, how did people get involved in this thing? That they just hoard, they're hoarders. How does that start? Because the cluttering may not be there in the beginning, but it creeps in. It creeps, and before you know it, you're surrounded by rubbish, things that you're holding on to. Why are people holding on to things? Why are they having a hard time letting go? Why, I was going through your introduction that you sent me. And I'm looking at some things you're saying that hints for you to realize. I want to go back to it here quickly so that I can tell the audience. If you start saying things like, but I might need it someday, but it's still perfectly good. I used to use it all the time. Maybe I should turn it into something else. I'm saving it for someone else. Or, they have this other one where they say, I have to pass it on. This is a legacy,
Yes.
Or like for newspaper, I need to read it. I just need to get a chance to read it. And then weeks and months of newspapers pile up and you still haven't read it. Or like magazines or subscriptions to things that you have. I'm like, what the hell? Throw the damn thing out. Or toys that you're holding on to. What the hell?
Well, I think what you're describing, Corinne, I think that's called life for a lot of people.
No, I don't want that life. I am not apologizing. I don't want it. Yeah. And I cannot stand clutter. I need, let me tell you, it is so, as you said, peaceful when things are organized. Why peaceful? There's space. There is room for growth. There's room to breathe. I
Right.
don't know. You just feel a sense of lightness, light, just not heaviness surrounding you.
Right.
And then too, should you invite friends over or people stop by, all of a sudden you don't feel embarrassed.
Right.
Oh. So
Right. And I call that entertaining angels, and I want to come back to that
that.
because that really is the most important thing, and that's why I want people to stop decluttering and
Mhm.
instead live the life that they want to live.
Mhm.
But you know what you just described, Corinne, I think that's what makes my job so interesting. And what I want people to start with is, we're human. We are people. We're not machines. We're
Mhm.
not perfect.
Mhm.
We have attachments. The thing about humans is that we gather these attachments throughout our lives, and hopefully we have a lot of healthy attachments to other people. Those are called relationships, and hopefully we have a lot of good relationships. But we also create these attachments to things and to our past, and even to other people's past, to our friends and to our ancestors. And so we come into this world with nothing, and we live our lives. We have activities. We go through school. We garner more relationships, and that's when the clutter and the things. It's not. It doesn't start as clutter, right? Nobody goes to the store and buys clutter. We
Right.
don't. Clutter isn't 10 cents a pound or 10 euros a liter or anything like that.
Mhm.
Clutter is what happens when we stop using the things that are in our lives, and clutter is what happens when we stop appreciating and being grateful for what's in our lives. All of a sudden, instead of becoming our stuff, it becomes a burden. So what you're describing, is really what happens to people. And I want people to know that, I help people declutter 7 days a week. I mean, we love what we do. I have a small staff, and everybody on my staff, we see a junk drawer and we go at it. We see a pile of shoes in your closet and we say, can we help you with that? I
Yeah.
mean, love what we do. And you and I were talking before the show. I think all of us who are organized, or who really want to be organized, I think there's a little part of us that wants to control
Mhm.
everything about the world and the
Mhm.
world that we live in. So maybe, taken to an extreme, that's not so healthy either.
Mhm.
But somewhere in the middle is that peace and that space that you talked about. And that's what we want people to find, and we want to help people find.
It,
So, so the TV shows,
yeah.
that you're referencing, that kind of shows us the part of the scale that none of us really wants to be living on, or maybe the part of the scale that sometimes we find ourselves on. But mostly we want to find that peace in that space to be creative and loving and have more relationships and more opportunities, right?
Yeah, I want to make reference to that show again because I mean it's something that people can connect with, and visualize while I'm talking.
Yeah, I think that was called Clean House. I think that's the
Clean
one
house,
that you're
that's
talking
right.
about. Yeah,
That's right, clean house.
yeah.
And it's not only a matter of just physical stuff. I mean there was also another show where this girl did a makeover. I can't remember her name. A kind
Hmm.
of half Chinese girl, where people would still hold on to clothes, and I mean it's not fitting them. They're not looking good in them, and she would do a whole makeover. So this decluttering or cluttering, which is the opposite
Hmm.
of attachment, is really attachment, like you're saying, holding on to stuff.
Right,
It is not only physical, it is also people in your lives, holding on to people. You're not letting go of people in your life. It is a holistic thing. The
yeah,
job that you're holding on to for dear life, and you're not damn happy in it.
right,
The man in your life that you're not happy with, the
right,
friends that you're keeping,
right,
the activities that you're in, the associations, the club. You don't like the people. You're not contributing. You're not adding value. Why are you still going? So,
right,
so
right.
when we're talking declutter and
Hmm.
seeking peace, that spirituality, that sense of fulfillment, gratitude, joy, and happiness. It is not just for you to visualize clean house and think, oh, I need to remove these things out of my life. It is a holistic thing, because when Nisi was working with these people, her and her team was working with these people, you can see this sort of kind of an addiction they had, the withdrawals, the anger and the vengeance that Nisi had to take from them, because they just found that Nisi is coming to disrupt their life.
Right.
It's coming to remove, and she's like, hold on, the memory is still there. Nobody could take away the memory. This is just a physical thing. You still have the memory. So it is, I want you to talk from a perspective of a holistic view of what decluttering can do for you, what organizing, and just as how you go crazy. You have an addiction yourself. I mean, when you think about it, that when you see these things, you go for it. Because I
Yes.
want to, you see something and you suddenly feel a sense of adrenaline. I need to clear this.
Yes.
Whereas the other people now who are hoarders, they are like, no, I need to keep this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's start there, because I think that's there's everybody has had the experience of having something in their hand. Maybe it's a book, or maybe it's a sweater, or like you said, maybe a piece of clothing that they used to wear in a job they used to have. There was something in their lifetime, or maybe it's something from their mother's house, or whatever it is. Everybody's had the experience of holding something in their hand and thinking, I don't really want this, but maybe for some reason, a lot of which you've already listed, I should keep it, or I need to keep it. And what I want people to really understand from this show is that having that experience, it's not a moral failing. It's not that we've failed. It's not that we're doing something wrong when we have those experiences. Number one, that's what makes us human. And number two, that actually means that your brain is working correctly. And this is where I get a little nerdy, Corinne, but hang with me for a second, because I need people to understand, or I really think they're going to enjoy understanding, that there is now brain science here. We're taping this in 2018, and there's now a new field of brain science that is helping us to understand that when you have those experiences, your brain is actually working the way it's designed to work. And so I follow a gentleman named Richard Thaler, and he won a Nobel Prize very recently for his work in behavioral economics. Now, behavioral economics, that sounds a little crazy, but what he's done, and some of his colleagues, they've created a new field that talks about why people do what we do from an economic standpoint. So it's marrying psychology and economics. And one example, one experiment that they did, so telling about this, this idea of holding on to things. Richard Thaler and his colleagues, they went to the college bookstore where they teach, and they bought up 20 mugs, coffee mugs, right? Regular old coffee mugs that you might hold. And they were from the bookstore, and they were about $5 each, and they were nothing special. They were just off the rack, right? You with me so far?
I am.
Okay, so Richard Thaler goes and gets 20 of these mugs, and then he goes into a classroom, not his classroom, just another classroom. So there's no real attachment to him or anything like that. And he takes these 20 mugs and he gives them to 20 students in the classroom. Now, 20 other students don't get mugs. And the two groups then have about 5 minutes to sit and ponder whether they have a mug or not, right? And then their task is, the experiment is, to ask the people who don't have mugs to possibly make a deal with the people who do have mugs to sell them, okay? So what do you think they found? Well, the interesting thing is that the people who owned the mugs for only 5 minutes, not a big time to get an attachment, right? They now are willing to sell the mugs, but in most cases, not for less than about $5.25, $5.50.
Wow.
So they now are attached to these mugs, and they've only had it for 5 minutes.
Yes.
And they're willing to sell the mug, but now this mug is more important to them than the one still sitting on the bookstore shelf in the college bookstore. And so they've gotten attached to this. Now, the other people who didn't have the mug, they're willing to buy it, but, and you might see this coming, they're not willing to pay anywhere near $5 for it. They're willing to pay maybe $2, $2.75 at most.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this tells us is that when we have something literally in our little paws, you know, when we hold something, it takes on more meaning and it takes on more value than it would otherwise have. And so Richard Thaler and his colleagues came up with a name for this, and the fancy name is called the endowment effect.
Okay.
And so I know this is a very long story, but what it proves, and lots of other experiments that they've done, and they've done, this was just a really quick, you know, something that you could yourself do in your hometown, and see how it works. But we now have lots of MRI studies and other experiments, thought experiments around how the brain works, and you will see these patterns over and over again, no matter who the population is, no matter whether it's a coffee mug or, you know, your grandmother's costume jewelry that wouldn't be worth anything in a thrift store, but it's so important to you. We see this over and over again, and what it illustrates for us is that everybody, by and large, you know, our brains are wired pretty much the same way. Now, some of us a little more, some of us a little less. Again, I think that's what makes us interesting as humans.
Yeah.
That's why I love my job so much. It's not really about the stuff. It's about understanding what your brain is doing. So the next time you have that experience of holding something in your hand, you can now say, oh, wait, this is my brain doing its job. And it's really, we talk about the amygdala, the very primitive part of our brain that we think, scientists think have been around forever. It's sort of the part of the brain that didn't really evolve very much. Whereas the front part of our brain, the frontal cortex, which is literally located up here, it's why we have big foreheads. And it's the part where we think rational thought takes place. And that part of the brain we can use to say just what you said earlier, Corinne, that no, I want to be rational. I want to have more gratitude. I want to be working on building new habits. I want to have new experiences, and I want to have the space to have them. That all comes from our rational brain up front. And so when you find yourself in this situation where you have something in your hand and you having to make a decision about, you know, is it important to me? Is it not important to me? That is brain science. I don't know. Do you find that as interesting as I do, Corinne?
I am thinking, I'm listening to you, and a lot of things are running through my mind. I'm thinking, when somebody that's close to you passes on, whether it's your mom or your spouse or a child, and of course you have shared certain things together, you want to hold on to that. So that attachment, that endowment is even stronger there, because the person is gone. This is the only thing that I have left to hold on to. Or if somebody that you love, or you know, give you something, you have this sort of what is the word, sentimental value.
Sure.
But I had an experience. I mean, 21 years living in Jamaica, and I've never been robbed or anything like that, thank God, except for the one day coming in my 21st year for somebody to grab a chain, actually come up to me, grab a chain off my neck. And that chain is something that was given to me as a child by my mom with a 4-leaf clover. And I've had it from a child, and I've always worn it every day all my life. And when it was stolen from me, I had to talk to myself. I mean, I broke into tears. And then I said, you know, I was literally shaking and everything. And a lot of things was running through my mind. What would my mom think when I tell her, this is something my mother gave to me as a child. I'm attached to it because of that. But hey, the memory of having it doesn't leave me. So somebody could steal something from me, you know, yank it off my neck, whatever it is. But, you know, one, I'm thankful for my life because it could have done more to me. So I'm thankful for my life. I could easily replace the chain, even though it mightn't be the same. But the whole thing was that it's sentimental value. It took me a couple of days for me to kind of deal with that, to deal with that loss, because I also too went through blaming myself for the chain being stolen off my neck. So I went through a whole number of different emotional topsy-turvy things.
Right.
And now that I'm talking about it, it's easy to talk about it. This is over a year now that it has happened.
Oh, so it was still very recent, actually, a
Yeah,
year
it
ago.
is recent, but
Yeah.
I try to quickly, as well. I mean, I have no control over that, but I try to quickly come knock myself in the head and say, Corinne, deal with this, see it for what it is, and just let it go. And I mean, there are things too that I like holding on to, like my books. I don't like people touching my books.
Hmm.
I
Great.
Yeah, I don't like letting out books and stuff like, because I've had the experience. People, you lend people books and they suddenly forget that you lend it to them and they never return it, and they're like, and it causes problems with friendship. So I don't do it again.
But
But
you have the tools
mhm,
to deal with those experiences, whether it's, somebody taking something very sentimental from you, or, somebody touches your books and they don't realize it's an issue for you. Those, you have the tools. You've matured, you've grown up, right? You've
yeah,
learned, you've had experiences that help you over the next hurdle that you run into in life. Those are all very healthy experiences, and not everybody grows up in, with the same experiences and the same tools that you have or that I've had. And we don't all arrive at the same healthy place at the same time,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. What are some tips you can share to help people gradually get to that point
Right.
where they can, I don't want to use the word rationalize, because you can rationalize yourself back into keeping it. So,
Right, right.
so I
Well,
don't
I
want to
think,
use the word rationalize. Mhm.
right. So I want to start there, and then I'll tell you about the sort and succeed system that I've laid out in my book, because I deal with this over and over again with clients every day. And I mean, that is my goal, to help them over things. My goal as a professional organizer, and if your listeners go and, say, this gal is great, I need somebody like this in my life to help me go through my kitchen or my closets or whatever. There are national and international organizations all across the world that they can go and find somebody like me, or they can work with me virtually, just like you and I are on a video conference here. I also do that with clients and
Right.
help them deal with their stuff in real time. But they can look for the National Association of Productivity and Personal and Organizing Professionals.
Mhm.
We just changed our name. That's why I
Okay.
hesitated there. It's the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals
Mhm.
in the U.S., the northern United States. And there's actually organizations like this in Canada, in Australia, in Japan, all over the world. So if somebody, wants to work with me, they can contact me, or they can find somebody to come to their house through any of those organizations. Um, but the first thing I would, hearken back to and encourage people, if they think, oh, this gal is really talking to me and it's really hard for me to organize anything, the experience that you shared, Kareen, I think everybody's had something like that. Either they've had a theft, or they've lost something, they've thrown something out, and they later decide it was valuable, and they really, grieve for it. Like they would grieve losing a parent again. Sometimes, in fact, if your relative, your parent has gone, and you lose that thing,
Mhm.
um, that can be really a second loss. And so,
I just switched screens on you. I pulled up the site for the.
NAPO, yes, thank you. That is it, napo.net.
Mhm.
And that's a place where people can go to find other certified professional organizers. So if you need help, great. But if you want to do it yourself, I would say one thought to keep in mind is the thing that I am fearing losing, or is the thing that I've lost, is it really worth grieving, or is it just something I bought at Target? Is it just something I bought at Walmart? If it's a regular old consumer good, right? If it's just another pair of shoes,
Mhm.
oh, I know there are people who really love their shoes, but if it's just another pair of shoes, or if it's just too many towels and you can't get them all in your linen closet, or if it's just too many of anything but they're not special,
Mhm.
that really should have a different emotional reaction than losing something like you've lost in that very special necklace, or losing a pet or something like that. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. And the other thing that I would recommend people consider is that having that experience of loss that again is, we find rooted in brain science. We now understand that there is something called, the psychologists call it loss aversion. And so
Wow.
that's the fancy term for not wanting to lose something or fearing loss of something. And what we find is that in the brain science, the brain reacts to the potential loss of something. So I haven't lost it yet, but you're going to come make me organize and throw my stuff out, and that feels icky, right? That feels bad. And that, it turns out, that physically hurts the brain, just like physically throwing things out or physically losing things. So people who have a hard time getting through an organizing project or getting started, what they're dealing with is actually, again, it's a healthy brain response. That's the way our brain is designed to act. And the fancy term is called loss aversion, but again, we can have a sort of a big brain response to that. And where it used to be a healthy response, where the very primitive man would have said, nuts, winter's coming, I have to get more nuts, that's kind of the primitive brain saying, I can't lose any nuts, I can't, that would be bad, right? Winter's coming.
Because he was starved.
Right. But today, the response can be, you know what? I don't have to hoard nuts. Walmart's just down the street. Right? I can go food shopping 3 times a day if I want to. I don't have to hoard.
That's right.
So that's a more mature, a more evolutionary, a better response for where we are today in our lives. Right.
Yeah, and somebody might say, gosh, to kind of contradict that, or to be the devil's advocate a bit, I don't need to really go to Walmart. I can just have it right here. They find reasons to justify, to hold it, to keep it, just for them not to go down the road to Walmart or wherever it may be.
You're right. And then we ask, what problem would you rather have? Or another way to say that is, what makes you happier? Is it going to make you happier to not have to go to the store every few days and buy the nuts, and have them on hand, because then they're there and you have enough, right? Or is it going to make you happier, to go back to something that you said and I say all the time, is it going to make you happier to be able to entertain angels when they come to your front door?
I love the entertaining angels. I love entertaining angels. I want you to go into that, because that's a feel good, that feels good, that I can have the space for the angels to come and sit and have tea with me, and we can talk more about that feel good, because I think when it's cluttered, no angels is going to come knocking at your door. Nobody's going to come in there.
It's interesting, because I'll tell you that being cluttered is really a state of mind. Okay. And so we see things on Pinterest, we see things out in social media where, the living rooms look gorgeous and there's no toes on the floor and it's beautifully decorated and well lit. Well, guess what? Angels don't care about that. Angels care about whether you are ready to be hospitable. And angels will never say, wow, there's too many toys in here, or it doesn't look like it does on TV. That's not what we're after. What we're after is, are you in a place where you can bring people into your environment? And really, I say, look, all you need is 2 spots on a couch. And maybe a cup of tea, maybe not even that, right? And no angel in your life is going to say, I see a dust bunny under your bookcase. That's not going to happen. So that's why
I'm not supposed to operate like that, from what I know.
Exactly. But how sad would it be if an angel enters your life and you say to them, I am so sorry, you cannot come today. I'm feeling overwhelmed. That's where the real sadness and loss is, and that's where I want people to say, my organizing efforts are going to be around me, not impressing anybody else, because you really can't. You're not in control of how other people see you and how other people see things and spaces in your life. You're the only one you can control. So I give people 5 steps in my book and in Sort and Succeed, so that they can get to a point where, no, it's never going to be perfect, but they can get to a point where they can organize anything in a short amount of time. They can say, Mr. and Miss Angel, I'm ready to receive you. And then they can get to a point where they stop decluttering because they're organizing in small bits all
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and they're not, they're not having to take days and weeks out of their life to create the home that they love. They're actually living in the home that they love all the time,
Give
or
me
they
your
don't have to
website. Give
miss,
me your
miss
website.
opportunities. They can say, you know what, I always have time on the calendar to be with my friends.
Give me your website. Let me bring that up so I can feature your book at the same time.
Thank you. So my website is heartworkorg.com.
I was putting it in a while ago, I put in hardwork.org.
Oh, yes, right. So so I made it easy for people not to have to type the whole word organizing.
Yeah,
And that's a little confusing. So it's heartworkorg.com.
I got it. I got it. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen.
Right. And so, what we do as a company is we actually help people declutter. We do, in fact, help you declutter, because most people, when they find out about the help that we offer and other professional organizers, they say, you know what, I need you to come help me with my closet. I need you to come help me with my kitchen, or with my photographs, or with my, whatever collection. But after we get through an organizing project, having worked with us and learned the 5 steps that you have there on the screen, thank you,
Right.
those 5 steps, then if you're applying them a little bit every day, you find that you're not actually decluttering. You're just living in the environment that you want to be living in.
Nice.
So the first step, and let me just say, Corinne, I'm not the first person out there to come up with a little acronym for how to organize, right? But what I found was that all the other systems, all the other ways that help people remember how to get through a project, they skipped over the most important step, and that was to start. So I made that number 1, because
That makes sense.
people would call me all the time, and they'd say, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Can you come help me? Or I've read all the, one client actually said to me, I've read all the books on organizing and my house is still cluttered. What's up with that? So that really made my brain be
Starting is
aware that,
really, yes,
a lot of
starting is
people,
like, yeah, that makes sense.
a lot of people know what to do, but they either think they don't have the time, or they feel like every time they organize, it just gets cluttered anyway, or they think, oh, I have to organize my closet, but that's different than organizing my kitchen or organizing my paperwork, or, so how do I do it? Because it's different. And I'm here to say it's not. It's the same 5 steps every time. So with a system, and find one that works for you. Maybe this will be the one that works for you this time. Step 1 is the same every time. Step 2 is the same every time. And if you have the same system every time, you don't have to think too hard. You don't have to repeat over and over. What is it that, that I do next? So step 1 is to start. And of course, this is the acronym, SORT and SUCCEED. I wanted to make it easy for people to remember. So step 1 is to start. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll be organized.
Yeah.
If you never start, you'll never finish, and you'll stress. So step 2 is to organize by category, organize into groups. So get your similar groups together. You were saying before, Corinne, your books, your makeup, your clothes, your shoes. Those are all big categories. Start with big categories. We don't want to get down into the details right now. We don't want running shoes versus fancy shoes versus house shoes versus boots versus whatever. We just want all the shoes together. Start with that, right?
As you mentioned, Darla, the organized by category, what immediately I tend to be visual, come to mind. When you watch those movies and these guys are living in their nice penthouse and everything is totally organized. They have a nice walk-in closet. They have their drawers for their ties, their socks, their shoes as well, shined, polished and shined, their different jackets and blazers. And pants is all lined up nicely. So when they walk in there and pull the doors apart, they know exactly what they're wearing or what they would like to wear and where the socks.
Gorgeous, right?
Yeah. And when you look at it, you're like, whoa.
Okay, but can I just pop in here and remind you and your viewers that is not real? And do you know how it's not real? To get ready for a show like that, now some people are more organized than others, but remember, anything you see on TV, I'm going to tell you something here that maybe some people don't know, but not everything you see on TV is real.
It looks good. It looks good. It looks good and it looks very well organized.
It does, but I've had people, you know, colleagues of mine who go on TV shows, and I myself have had my work featured in magazines.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that one of my magazine shoots that we did, it wasn't my magazine, it was in a magazine,
Hmm.
and to get a 2-page spread that somebody looks at for maybe 10 or 15 seconds,
I know
it
it
took
takes.
8 hours of professional photography.
Yeah, yeah, I know
So
about
it's
that.
not, you know, those things that you see on TV and in magazines, they're gorgeous, but they are engineered
Yeah,
to be gorgeous. And it's okay to have those ideals, but to expect that you will live in a house like that all the time,
yeah,
you know, it's just not reality for most people.
yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you interjected and said that, so they don't feel bad, or I don't feel bad that
Yeah,
it's not perfectly lined up like that. And to tell you the truth, I mean, when you see things, so it also shows you a sense of control. You know,
yeah,
if you really look at it, it's like a sense of control that you're not fluid, flexible enough to just go with it. It's like it has to be this way. It has to be, you know, the towels need to be lined up this particular way and done that. It's a sense of control. So you have to create a sense of balance in
right,
everything
right.
that you're doing. You know, not
Yes,
go over the edge here, people. Okay,
yes.
continue,
I,
darling.
I think I think that's right. Balance is a great concept, except it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really leave you. It's not real. Balance is not real. It's a concept that some of us aspire to, but I tell you, I've given up on that long ago. And you know, I like one of my friends, colleagues, has the idea of a symphony.
Hmm.
So when you listen to an orchestra, you don't find that things are completely equal all
Mm.
the time, right? Sometimes the winds are a little bit louder, sometimes the percussion is featured,
Hmm.
sometimes the brass is louder or
Hmm.
softer. But ideally, there's enough of a flow that you come out with a beautiful, beautiful symphony, right?
Right.
But that requires change, and it requires an enormous amount of work and partnership and teamwork to get to a symphony, or to get to a day that feels like you've accomplished what you want to accomplish.
Mm.
So, so again, Sort and Succeed is one way to allow people to spend a small amount of time, relatively small amount of time, getting organized so that they can then stay organized and have the life that they want. So we talked about step 1 and 2. Step 3 cannot be very hard for people. It's reducing and releasing and resetting, but it's step 3 for a reason. Once you have things all together in step 2, organized by category, it's a lot easier to process. So I use the example of a black t-shirt. Many of us have more than one black t-shirt because it's a wardrobe staple, right? But if I held up a single black T-shirt in your wardrobe and asked you to decide should it stay or should it go, it's very hard for people because again that loss aversion kicks in. But
Mm.
once we have all 25 black T-shirts that you own in front of you, it's so much easier for you to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and keep or donate or get rid of the right things at the right time. So that step 3 is important, but it also allows you then to say, you know what, all these black T-shirts that I had all over my room or all over my home, now I put them together, I reset them in my closet, and I know where they all are at any time. And then step 4 is tweaking. And that again is sort of a nod to the idea that you can be organized and not have it Pinterest perfect,
Mm.
right? So you can be organized and then come back later and make it beautiful if you have the interest, if you have the time, if you have the money. But a lot of people will say, you know what, it's never going to look like it does on TV, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
And that will, you know, that's shooting yourself in the foot. That doesn't give you the opportunity to be organized and to save the time and save the money that people often save when they are in fact organized. And then step number 5, just to wrap things up, it's the 5th step, but we often talk about it even before we start an organizing project, because I want people to celebrate when they've succeeded.
Yeah.
So when you get through an organizing project, take a moment, my team and I, we love stepping back and saying, look, isn't the closet beautiful now? You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of our reward. But for a lot of people, they may choose a reward of something simple like having their favorite glass of wine guilt-free in front of a TV show tonight, because
Of
they're
course.
always, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and
Mhm.
they're never really enjoying,
Yeah.
going and being organized. So it could be something simple, it could be something larger. It could be, I love experiences as a celebration, because you're not then bringing something home that you have to
Mhm.
organize.
Yeah.
So your celebration can really be anything that's not a shopping spree. So,
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
What I like is the reverse, like when with Macy's Clean House, what I like about it is that things that are in the house that you can sell. So you're making back money from that. I love that concept. And
Yeah.
I love the idea of giving away. I remember when I was living in Jamaica, constantly doing spring cleaning throughout the year. Because when
Hmm.
the clutter started getting to me, I'm like, no, and I would encourage the kids to be a part of it. So like they would have their box of toys. I'd be like, hey, go through your box of toys,
Right.
see what you want to give to the babies. I always say these are for the babies. So
Right.
they're home for kids, disadvantaged kids, home for the
Right.
for
Kids
what.
who don't have as much as you do,
That's
absolutely.
right. So I always taught them that, and I would make them go through their clothes, go through the whatever. And I say, no, this is not good to give somebody. We would throw away this, and then this is all right. Or certain toys. I said, what you gonna give to the babies? And we would put the boxes together, all their books that they would have used. I'm like, no, we're gonna donate this to the library, so the library would come and pick it up, so somebody else can benefit from it, or we give it to some kids or schools in the nearby, for young kids.
Yeah.
I invested a lot of CDs and audio stuff that I invested when they were younger. Now they have grown. It's like, what am I doing with that in the house? So I
Right.
involve the kids in these sort of activities to give back, to
And
learn
they're
to,
learning. They're
yeah,
learning through
yeah,
that experience, and you don't want to make it, it doesn't have to be a negative, right? Kids will say the same thing adults say, but I might need it, or I used to
yeah,
love it, or I used to play with it, or, but your idea is exactly what we're going for. We're making room for, we're growing. Even as adults, we're growing, and we're making room for the next thing. We're
yeah,
making room for new experiences. It's not that we don't love that book. We did.
yeah,
But, maybe we keep a handful of special books, but we want to make room for the new books. We want to make room for the new friends. We want to make room for the new experiences. Or in your case, actually, you told me you recently moved from
yeah,
one island to another. And wasn't it so much easier
yeah.
when you knew what you were packing were the things that you loved, and you weren't packing and unpacking, things that you didn't love and things that were maybe trash.
Yeah, yeah. I had to pack the things I need. This is a major move. So I had to pack the things that I needed and just
Right.
let go of the other stuff. Whether I was attached to it or not, I just had to say, hey, I'm not willing to pay that extra bill at the airport for overweight.
Right.
That's
Right.
all
And
right.
that again
That's all
gets back to the idea of, what do you want more?
right.
Right. It's nobody's trying to take things away from, and I know people will listen to this and think, this gal wants me to give up everything. No, you've not heard me, say that minimalism is a great idea. We're not trying to get you to pare down unless you want to. But the question is, what do you want more? Do you want a house that is easy to take care of? And do you want more time and less things? Do you want more friends, and less stress?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want more money,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want to carry those things with you from airport to airport, right? So
Hello.
it's all about what you want more and
Yeah.
what makes you happier.
There are lots of things I left in Jamaica. I mean, I invested in a lot of books because I couldn't take everything. This is a major move. So I left a lot of my stuff, thousands of dollars that I invested. And I just said, look, I mean, it's hurtful when I think about it. All my stuff that I still have, and some of them I haven't been able to finish read. I haven't used. I just bought, and I'm like, look, let it go, let it go. I can't do anything about it. Let it go. I'll buy new books. I'll have a new experience. I'll meet new people from buying new books here in Trinidad. I somehow something will work out, but I just can't go back to that where I try to retrieve the things all the way back in Jamaica to bring it. No, something is going to work out where I'll be able to have it. And the whole thing about having a new experience by releasing it in terms of the books, I use the books as a item. You have read a book, you have enjoyed reading the book. Yes, you want to be able to pass it on, but when you pass it on, you want to know somebody else have that same experience too, because they have not had it. You
Hmm.
have been blessed to have it. You should be saying, hey, let me let it go and let somebody else have joy as
Right.
well as I did.
Right.
So while you are looking for new experiences, that person that you're passing that book to is should be getting a new experience as well. Yeah.
That's true. And that's important too. A lot of people will have something that they own, right? So we're kind of back to Richard Thaler's coffee mugs now.
Yeah.
And I own that mug. And now a lot of people will say, I have to find the perfect right owner for this mug.
Wow.
And they will then search and search. So that mug sits in their house and they will search and search and search
Wow.
for the right owner. And they've taken on a responsibility that nobody asked them to take on.
Wow. Yeah.
And so be aware that that is one of the traps in organizing.
Yeah.
And what we often do for our clients is we will help them either find an organization that they have similar values to. So maybe there's a church group
Yeah.
or Habitat for Humanity or something like that, that we can say, I know that this group enjoys receiving these things because then they pass them on to their folks. Or just coming to the realization that, you are not in retail. That's not,
Yeah.
for most of us, that's not our job to find people to buy things or to bring things home with them. Our job, is something completely different. But there are organizations who are in the business of helping other people find great treasures and find things that are maybe one of a kind, or maybe just the right thing at the right time. Do you know what those places are called?
No. And I
Thrift
don't.
stores. They're called thrift stores. They are in business to help other people find the treasures that you're ready to let go of. So
Yeah.
some people will say, oh, I can't do that. I can't, how will I know that
Yeah.
it's going to someplace important? Well, that's what the thrift store is set up for. It is a secondary retail stream. That is how we send things out into the universe. So that's one way. Of course, Facebook Marketplace, you can give things away on Craigslist or online places. We have something called Free Cycle here, which is kind of like eBay, except no money changes hands. So I can put out online, right now I have a bag of cat food that my cat won't eat, and I'm willing to give that away, but I don't have to find the right person. I can either
Person.
drop it off at a pet shelter, or I can put it out on Free Cycle,
Mm-hmm.
or on Craigslist, on the free part of Craigslist, and say, I have this, I don't need it. If you have need of it, please let me know, and I'll leave it on my porch. You can pick
I
it up.
love that. I
Yeah,
love
so there are ways to get things out of your home that you can feel good about, that other people will be using them,
that.
but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to take that entire responsibility onto
Yeah.
your shoulders.
Yeah.
You were not designed for that.
Yeah. I have a friend who, as you mentioned, thrift stores, because I don't even think about thrift stores really, but that's a good idea. And that's what she does. She's like, give me all your garbage, give me all your stuff, and
Yeah,
she will find she will
right.
find a home, and she really has good stuff, and
and,
she's
and
able
and
to
I
make
shop at
money.
thrift stores. I love going into thrift stores, and sometimes, if I know I'm throwing a party and I need a new platter, or I need another platter to serve things on, I don't necessarily go to the store. I go to the thrift store because, hey, I can get it for $1 there,
Of course,
you know.
of course, of
And so
course.
the thing that you're ready to let go of, I'm ready to have. And
Yeah.
the thrift store often, they have a mission or a way that they're helping other people through the funds that they're getting.
I love
So
that.
that,
I love that.
a lot of people benefit out of that kind of
I
passing
wanna
on.
throw in this one before we wrap up. The persons who are travelers.
Mm-hmm.
Those people who travel and they collect a little thing from everywhere they go and
Uh,
come home with it. What do you tell those people?
oh, well, that is a great question, because I'm about to leave on another trip, and I love to travel. I go to, went to Australia, to Paris. One of these days, you and I will have lunch, Corinne.
Of
So I'll be
course,
down
of course.
in Trinidad, and yeah. So where you are? Wait, tell me again. Where
Trinidad
Trinidad?
and Tobago.
Thank you. I was going to say that wrong, but I had it right. Okay. So yes, we'll meet up one of these days.
Of course.
But yes, every time you go someplace, are you the kind of person who brings back a little souvenir? And it that can be fun, but I have this idea of a sombrero. It's something I learned years and years ago. Like, a lot of people go to Mexico and they pick up a sombrero because that's what you have in
Of
Mexico.
course.
So why not bring one home? But then, do you ever wear it when you get home?
No.
Have you
And when
ever
would you
worn
wear
your
it?
sombrero?
When do you wear it? Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May?
Right, maybe. Or by the time you go to wear it, has it been smashed in the back of your closet because you haven't, had the room to take care of it, or maybe even remembered that you have it. So I am a big fan. I say bring home a few souvenirs of where you've been. When I go to Paris, I love to get a beautiful scarf because I can wear that scarf every day.
Yeah.
So I'm not big on, little silver spoons or shot glasses or
Yeah.
something that you're just going to sit on a shelf and have to dust. I don't love little tchotchkes that you have to dust.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you can wear, or something that that a friend will enjoy and you can bring it home as a gift for them, or something that you can consume, chocolates, mints, the local food or the local delicacy, those are great. But also, we live in a wonderful age where I would love for you to take as many pictures
Yes.
as you want to. And how much room do those take up? Almost nothing. Take as many pictures as you can. Make sure that people are in your pictures. Don't just take landscapes, because the landscapes in a few years will not mean anything to you. But the people enjoying the trip with you, and you on the trip, whether it's a selfie or have somebody else take a picture of you and the people that you're with, those pictures will still mean something to you decades from now. And then print them out. Get or make for yourself a photo album, and those pictures will mean more to you than any sombrero sitting in the back of your closet ever would.
That's right. And I would even add to that a virtual album. It doesn't have to be the physical album that we collect and it collect dust.
Yes.
You can do the virtual albums. There are so many of them, especially with ebooks and so on, because I'm a publisher and so I know about these things.
Right.
Do a virtual album that you can flip the pages virtually, and you can share it via a link with everybody all over the world. So it doesn't collect dust.
Yes, both. I actually say do both, right? Put together an online album that you can share, that other people can enjoy no matter where they are, but also print. I am a big proponent of printing one out. Let it sit on your shelf. I don't know anybody who has taken so many trips and made so many albums that they can't put them all on one bookshelf and enjoy that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. How can persons get a copy of your book?
Any place they're buying books. My book is available on Amazon in a Kindle version and a physical version. I just wanted to flash the book here because a lot of people will hear about books and they think, oh, I'd like to read it, but it's probably long. Do you see how small this book is? It's tiny, and I made it tiny on purpose. I worked very hard to make a small book. It takes less than an hour to read, and it goes over a lot of the things that we shared today, but also really tries to get inside your head and give you a lot more information on how to use those 5 steps in Sort and Succeed. So they can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it worldwide on whatever Amazon site you can get to. Any place else you buy books, it should be available. If it's not, let me know, because my publisher tells me that it is available on all sorts of platforms, and of course at my website at heartworkorg.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Darla DeMoro, for being here, for sharing. Wow, so much. We spent basically an hour, a little bit more than an hour on talking, and this has been thoroughly awesome. And I mean, we're in the second half of 2018. It's still time for people to releasing, resetting, letting go, and celebrating. Wouldn't it be great by Christmas for them to celebrate that they have actually decluttered their life, their house, their acquaintances, relationships, with their jobs, whatever it may be, and start small, just little spaces. Decide, take a point and start small. I mean, it would be great to celebrate at that time of the year. It's a time for celebration, and move into 2019 knowing that you're free. You're free, and those lovely visiting angels will be happy for you.
And if they can't think of any other way to celebrate, I would love for people to send me an email and let me know that they have accomplished any little organizing project, small or large.
Yeah.
I would love to celebrate with them. So an email to darla@heartworkorg.com. I would be so pleased to hear from you and to know that you have found a way to organize your home, organize your life, and to stop decluttering and to live the life that you want to live.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Darla, for being on Between the Lines.
Thank you so much, Corinne.